This is my first animation in Flash using the bone tool. Now I want to share with you the things that I've learnt so far, so this video is aimed at beginners. To summarise, Flash will recognise all the layers in your Photoshop file, so open the actual Photoshop file containing your animation first. The bone tool, really, for success with the bone tool, you need to have every moving part on a separate layer, that is the key. The next step would be to convert each moving part or layer into a symbol, such as a movie clip symbol. I think graphic symbols work too. So I'm going to open our Photoshop files. Right, so this is the file that I created earlier in Photoshop. Now I'm going to select the layers that I need for my animation. I don't want the background layer, layer 1, but I need the waving hand, waving arm, static arm and body layers. Flash has recognised the Photoshop files. If we click on the eye icon, we can toggle on and off the appropriate layers that we want to use. So for the bone tool, it's very important that any moving or any part you intend to move has its own layer. Now I'm going to use the waving hand and waving arm layer in this demonstration. If we look into the library, you'll see, look, there's our Photoshop file with all the individual layers inside there. But what you will find, so I've removed the static arm layer as I explained earlier. If we try and use the bone tool and select it, an error message will come up. So these files are bitmap objects and the bone tool does not seem to like them. What we have to do is each individual layer, I've selected waving hand and that's now selected. If I press F8, you've got the option here of creating movie clips, and that's what you need to do for each layer. You need to create a movie clip file. Now I'm going to call this waving hand and OK. So I'm going to do that with each layer. Now the waving arm layer is selected. Press F8 and OK. Now the static arm I'm not going to use, but whilst I'm at it I'm going to convert it anyway. So let's reveal it. So that's my static arm layer, F8. OK. Now body layer. Click on the body layer, and I think if we modify, convert to symbol, look, it's the same thing. So body. OK. And now when we look into our library panel, you'll see, look, these are the correct files for using the bone tool. The bone tool will like these files. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to do a file, call it Queen Symbols, and I'm just going to organise the work as I go along and put these files into my new symbol folder. Right, so I'm feeling a bit more organised now. So this layer represents all of these parts. So if we now go to the bone tool and select it, I should now be able to just click and drag. I'm going from the body to the waving arm, and from the waving arm to the waving hand, just clicking and dragging and letting it go, and you can see that it's been successful. Look, because each of the parts are are shown. So that's all good. Now if I were to just move this, you can see, look, that the body pivots, and I don't really want that. So I can remedy that by going into properties. If I press Ctrl Z, oops, back to our position here. Now if I select this part of the armature and go into properties, there is a joint rotation button which you can untick. So now when I move my hand, look, I've got a body that's stationary. So if you also look as well, look, you can see the armature layer is down in this panel. We've got the waving arm under it, but interestingly we've got the waving hand above. I'm going to create a new layer. So go down here and select new layer. I'm going to bring it down to the bottom. I want it to be a backdrop for this, so I'm going to call it background. And with it selected, I will import my background flag. Now with modify and transform, free transform, I'm just going to reduce the scale of this to fit in with the size of the stage. So if we move, maybe if we select the armature and move it, I'm going to move it over here, and again I might do modify and transform, free transform. See what happens if I enlarge it a little. So with my scale sorted, that's roughly how I want it to look. I'm going to select. So with the armature layer and the frame 1 selected, I'm going to move my arm to its first position, which is going to be down here. And then I think at about 20, I'm going to insert my first pose. So I'm going to insert the pose, and I'm going to go up here, like so. I'm going to go to 40, insert pose. So as you insert the pose, it copies the last pose. So then you want to move it back down. So do it again, 60, insert pose, move it back up again. If I press enter, let's look at what we've got so far. So we've lost our background, but we'll sort that out at the end. I'm just going to sort the movement out. So with the selection tool, I'm going to freeze this joint on this elbow. First of all, I'll 60. Let's go to 70 and insert pose. And I want to select this elbow joint here. So again, going into properties, if I untick that enable, I will now be able to focus on just moving the hand. So I'm going to move Queenie's hand over this way. It's 70, 80, insert another pose. Move it back over here. 90, insert pose. Move her arm here. 100, insert pose. Back again. 110, insert pose, back here. So I want to select this joint again. I'm going to go into properties and enable it. and then I'm just going to do a few more just general arm movements. So let's do Control minus, and I hold the space bar down, bring that into a new position. So let's say 140, insert pose, and now we should be free to bring the whole arm back down again. 160, insert pose, bringing her up like that. Let's just move, I would like to be able to just move her hand a little like that. So if we press enter, we should have a nice little wave there in the middle. Right, so the background, if we click on that, I'm just going to insert a frame, right click, insert frame. So let's see what this looks like. If we go to Control, that's it. If we go to Control and Test Movie, you can see my first animation using the bone tool.